What's up, folks? I'm Dwayne,
I'm Alicia.
and this is Blackboard Gaming, where we teach you about all these great board games that are out there.
Waiting to be played by you and yours.
I'm a simple man, don't want a complication. Complication.
Hey,
everybody.
Today, we're going to give you a heads up on a game that's going live on Kickstarter today. And that game is called Canopy Evergreen.
Canopy Evergreen is designed by Tim Eisner and published by Weird City Games.
Let's go to the table for an overview of how this game is played. Canopy Evergreen is a card drafting set collection game for 2 to 4 players, where the players are competing to grow the most bountiful forest. To set up the game, each player is going to get one of these forest boards, and they're going to place it in their play area. They're also going to get one of these food tokens, and they're going to place it on the food track on the left side of the board on the 0 spot. They're going to get one of these 1-point tokens, and they're going to place it where the 5 is on the point track on the right side of their board. And they're also going to get one of these 10-point tokens, and they're just going to place that off to the side for right now. Each player is going to get one of these root tokens. They come in 2 pieces, and they're going to place it in that tree, where you see the tree out on the forest board. They're going to place that in the upper left-hand corner of their board. And as you can see, there are other tree spaces, and this is where the players are going to be growing trees throughout the game. Then they're going to get these 11 bonus tokens, and they're going to randomize them with the leaf side face up, and then place them out onto the board in these little circle spots. You know, you could just see them, and then they're going to flip them over. So now your forest board is all set and ready to go. Next, we would place this wildlife board in the middle of the play area. And then we would take this deck of wildlife cards, making sure to remove the 4 starting wildlife cards, which has a star next to its scientific name on the card. And then each of these will be randomly given to the players along with their matching animal token. Then we would take the remaining wildlife cards, and after giving them a good shuffle, place them in this space on the wildlife board and reveal 3 cards off the top of the deck, face up, like so. Next, we would take the remaining root tokens, the trunk tokens, the canopy tokens, along with the tree award tokens, and the remaining wildlife tokens near the play area in reach of all players. We're setting up for 4 players, so we're going to use all 80 of the rainforest cards. If we were setting up for a lower player count, we would remove a certain number of cards based on this player count number in the bottom corner of each card. After giving this a good shuffle, we will place this deck of cards in the middle of the play area, and then we will draw 3 cards face down per player, and we will place those cards off to the side, and then we will place this pine cone on top of those cards, and that will be known as the seed deck. And then we will randomly choose a first player. We will place a growth cone in the middle of the play area next to the rainforest deck. And then we would place a growth cone in between each pair of players. So this one is placed between the starting player and the player that's going second in turn order. And that one is placed between the second player and the third player, and so on and going clockwise. And then we would take cards off the top of the rainforest deck and place 1 on each of these growth cones, making sure to place 2 on the growth cone that's to the right of the start player. So now we can start the game. The first action that the player can take on their turn is, as an option, they can pay food to gain one of these wildlife cards and place it into a tableau next to their forest board. So if I wanted to get this gray wolf, the cost to get him is in the upper right hand corner, and that's for food. Now at the beginning of the game, we don't have any food, and I'm going to show you how to gain food in a little bit. But since we can't attract any wildlife yet, we're going to move on to our main action that we'll be taking. The main action is that the players are going to be looking at the cards that are out on these growth cones and deciding whether or not they want to keep those cards and place them into their tableau next to their forest board. So the active player is going to look at the card on the growth cone to his left, and he's going to take it, look at it, not making sure not to show it to the other players. He's going to decide whether he wants to keep it or pass on it. So if he decides to pass on it, then he puts it back, and he's going to take a card from the top of the rainforest deck and add it to that growth cone. And he can't come back to this one. Then he's going to go to the growth cone in the center, and he's going to look at that one, decide whether or not he wants to keep it, and then he can pass on it, adding the card to that growth cone. And then he's going to go to this one and take those cards, take a look at them, decide to whether he wants to keep them. So if he passes on this one, then he adds a card to that growth cone, and then he just randomly draws one off the top of the rainforest deck. And he can decide whether he wants to keep that one or discard it into a shared discard pile. But let's say he decides he's going to take these cards, and then he immediately has to place these face up next to his forest board and gain any rewards granted to him. Now, play is going to continue like that until this rainforest deck runs out. And when that runs out, that's going to signify the end of the season. And the game is going to last 3 seasons. So, before moving forward, let's take a look at what some of these rainforest cards, how they score. You're trying to achieve a balance of sun and rain in your forest. And you will score points at the end of the season based on the number of symbols. So this one has 3 water symbols. This one has 3 sun symbols. So at the end of the game, you will score for each pair 1 point. These floral cards will grant you points at the end of each season. So if you look at the cattail moss, each pair of these will get you 5 points. Trillium, if you only have 1, you lose points. But if you get 2, you get 4 points. If you have 2 of these, you get 4 points at the end of the game. Now this huckleberry, if you see that lightning bolt, this has an immediate effect, and this grants you food, and that's how you get food in order to attract wildlife to your tableau. Speaking of wildlife, each specific wildlife has 3 different types. You have the active wildlife, the active northern raven, which grants you an ability that you can use once per season. And when you get this wildlife, you get this token with it, and you can flip that token to show that you've used this ability. Then you have the foraging northern raven, which grants you points, a way to get points at the end of each season. So if you look here, for every 2 of these cattail moss, you will get 2 points. And then you got this point northern raven, which will just give you points at the end of the game. And collecting the sets of these is beneficial because you will gain points for the sets at the end of the game. Playing a wildfire card into your forest does nothing by itself. But if you play a second one, you have to play a second one, then at the end of the season, you have to get rid of 2 floral cards in your forest. If a third one comes into play, then the wildfire spreads and it affects everybody at the table, and everybody has to get rid of 1 floral card that's in their forest tableau. If a heat wave card comes in, if you see that lightning bolt, it immediately gets rid. You have to discard 1 non-threat card in your forest. And if you have any of these wildfire cards in play, then this one acts as another wildfire card. The same thing goes for these disease cards, except when you get 2 of those, you have to get rid of 2 of your wildlife cards. If you place one of these seed cone cards into your forest tableau, then at the end of the season, you'll be able to draw 2 cards from the seed deck, keeping one to place into your forest and discarding the other one for each seed cone card that you have. Last but certainly not least are the tree cards, and these cards will allow you to grow trees onto your forest board. So this card, if you gain this card, you will take either a trunk token or a root token from the supply, and you would discard this card. And then you could either start a new tree into your forest, placing them where those trees at on your board, like so, or you can continue to grow an existing tree by placing this trunk onto that root token. This card right here is Canopy card, and that allows you to finish a tree and score points. So if you look at the bottom of this card, when you score the points, you will get 2 times the number of trunk tokens and canopy token in that particular tree. For example, if I use this canopy card to finish off this tree, I will get 2 times, let's say 1, 2, 3, or that would give me 6 points. Remember those bonus tokens that we placed out on our forest board as part of setup? Well, whenever you complete a tree that is connected to another tree along one of these pathways, then you will gain access to that bonus token. And if the trees are a different height, then you would take that token and keep it for the rest of the game. Now, those tokens don't do anything on their own. But if you have a card in your forest tableau that has that matching icon, then those tokens will count as part of the set. So for example, this Trillium by itself, this is worth -2 points. But if I had gained access to this token, this count as part of the set, and so I would instead get 4 points because I have 2 of those. Now, if the trees are the same height, then I would just take this bonus token and I would just flip it over, and this will count as 1 point, which I would gain immediately. So the season will end when the rainforest deck is depleted and all cards on the growth cones are gone. And then all the players will tally up their points that they got based on the cards in their tableau. They also will figure out who has the tallest tree at the end of that season. And whoever has the tallest tree would gain one of these tree award tokens. And then that tree can't score anymore in the latter seasons. But they will gain points based on which season that they're in. Once they have tallied up all their points, all these cards will be discarded and we will create a new rainforest deck. And then whoever has the lowest points will become the first player for the next season. And then the next season will start. So that's pretty much what you need to know on how to play Canopy Evergreen. So the first thing I want to say about this game, which I already knew because, you know, it's by the same illustrator that did the original Canopy. The art in this game is gorgeous.
It is. And yes, the art is really gorgeous. And I'm going to be honest, I thought I would like the game, but I didn't think the art would match up to the vibrancy of the rainforest. But you know what?
Yeah, he did a good job.
He did a good job.
I mean, he really, Vincent Dutray is, you know, he's one of my favorite artists when it comes to board games. And I just really, really love the way he portrays the evergreen forest.
Yes.
I love it, you know. So, and
another thing, I'm going to tell you what I really love, though. I love the art, but I love those 3D trees. You know, in Canopy, you just use cards and you just overlap them a little bit.
Yeah, showed your tree growth.
But in Canopy Evergreen, you actually stack the layers on top of each other, and it looks like a tree growing in a forest. So I just think that as an aesthetic, that's just, oh wow, I love that.
Yeah, I do like the components, and I thought it might have been a little fiddly, like putting them together, but they really just slide. Real. They did these trees real well, and this is just a prototype of the game. So I'm like, wow, I can't wait to see what the regular type is gonna be.
Another thing I like when we talk about how the game looks is those pine cone trays.
Yeah, that you put the cards on.
Oh my goodness. This game has table presence to the max. It looks really amazing.
Yeah, it looks really nice on the table.
Yes.
And so the one thing that I really like is just the added complexity. Because we recently talked about Canopy on our favorite 2-player games.
Yes.
And the added complexity, they're trying to make this is more than 2 players. And I just like that little added complexity of the bonus tokens on the forest boards. I love the fact that when you grow your trees, you got to make them different size so you can gain access to that bonus token. And then those bonus tokens, they're not like, they don't become active
They're
unless
not automatic.
Yeah, they don't come active unless you have that card in your forest tableau. So it gives you kind of like a direction to go. Like if you get this token, you like, oh, okay, I got this particular flora, so I'm gonna make sure I keep an eye out for this flora so that this bonus token can matter.
Another thing I like when you talk about the added complexity is in the original Canopy, the animals are just mixed in with the cards.
The rest of the cards,
yes.
yeah.
But now the animals are a separate deck, and you have to make a choice to add them to your tableau to increase your points. So I like that.
Yeah, and they also give you a certain direction.
Yes.
Because like the bear, the in-game season, bear, he gives you points for those gooseberries.
Yes.
So it makes you like, okay, I want more gooseberries in my forest or whatever, which gives you food.
Yes.
And then you're collecting those sets, so it's not as random.
Exactly.
You have a little bit you have more of a choice of which animals you get to bring into your forest tableau.
Exactly.
So I really like that.
Yes.
And I like in Canopy, when you play 2-player, you play with all the cards. In this one, you have to take out a certain number of cards for each player count.
To keep it even. So yeah, I like that.
Now, we've only, we played it 2-player. So being that this is supposed to be for more than 2 players, I wanted to see how well the game flows. So I took it up, played it with some of my friends and just wanted to see how the flow of the game was. And the flow went well. So the game scales well.
That's good.
And I was watching everybody building up their forests and stuff. And everybody was enjoying this game. And they were saying, like, it's just that added complexity. Because they've all had played Canopy before. So when they played Canopy Evergreen, it was like, oh, okay, I like this little bonus tile thing. I like the animals are over here and stuff like that. So they really enjoyed it.
Yes.
Now, if I had any nitpicks, is the fact that, being a Canopy 2-player card game, once you start building up your forest, it does start taking a little table space.
Okay.
But, so with this one, now that it's 4-player and you have that added space of a forest board, it does take up a little bit more real estate than usual. But that's just a nitpick. Okay. I really do enjoy the game. The other thing is you were saying about the bonus tiles.
So, the bonus tiles, we just talked about how gorgeous the board is, but the bonus tiles kind of blend in a little. It's hard to distinguish them.
And the pathways and all that.
Yes.
So I don't know if that's the thing they could fix.
Yeah.
And that might be something you just got to get used to.
Yes.
But, overall, I just love the art. I love the added complexity.
It's visually appealing. It's still engaging. It still has all the charm of the original Canopy with the push your luck.
Yep, it still has that push your luck, but now more than 2 players can experience that charm and complexity, as you say.
Yes.
So yeah, so with all that, Canopy Evergreen, this is definitely, like I said, we already love Canopy. Tim Eisner, he's already, we talked about Canopy, we talked about Leaf, and he's done Wonderland's War, so he is knocking it out the park. I really enjoy this game.
Yes.
Just the complexity and just the added strategy. And
If you are a fan of Canopy, this will not disappoint.
No, it will not. If you're a fan of nature games, this will not disappoint. So definitely go over. We'll put a link to the Kickstarter page below. And definitely go over there and check this game out. And if you like the contents of this video, feel free to hit the like button, subscribe.
Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
And I'm Dwayne.
I'm Alicia.
This has been Blackboard Gaming.
We will see you next time.